Hello and welcome back, everyone, to the Bloodless run on Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. And in this episode, we'll be continuing on past the Glutton Train in order to get into our next major area. Check the walls for more HP ups. Woot.
Heh, he fell to pieces.
I'm not exactly the biggest fan of how Bloodless doesn't have really good answers for assassins, but honestly, she doesn't need them all that badly. Here we are, the Underground Sorcery Lab. The Underground Sorcery Lab is a really, really tiny freaking area, but it's one of the best areas for us to show off how the Guillotine Umbrella is kind of absurdly overpowered. Anything that's above you and on a platform, you can pierce through. It's very nice.
Blood trails, come to me.
Bloodsteel is again a relatively decent way of recurring mana when you're really low in the middle of a fight. But you have to remember that you have to hold the button in order to actually get your mana back, which can be a bit of an issue. No, because you're standing still whilst you're under Bloodsteel. More health up.
Well, that's why you do Bloodsteel after the fight is over, not during.
No, but it's definitely supposed to be a during fight mana regen. Mostly because once you get your first copy of Arcane Blood and a couple of Bloods of Faith, your mana regen is mostly adequate outside of combat. Evil poison toads.
Huh. I see that vampires in this universe do not share Elder Scrolls vampires' resistance to disease.
This is poison, which is a different status ailment in most games, so...
But poison inflicted by natural creatures in the environment. Interesting.
Now, what this intro for Bathin is supposed to teach you is that you can actually use backstep like that in order to dodge a majority of Bathin's attacks. I still don't know this. Even present Gerdat has problems remembering this. Yeah. Bathin is another character that you can actually stun lock into a wall if you have enough melee damage with the charge umbrella.
Well, let's see if it'll work. Yeah, and yeah. Oh, he broke out. Okay, get back here,
yeah. But yeah, if you're in the correct spot, it is relatively easy to stun lock Bathin into a wall. I personally really like that Bloodless has the ability to do this, specifically because neither Zangestsu or Miriam really have the ability to do this. Bathin is one of the enemies that I'm able to kill on hard mode, but it's not a fight that I enjoy doing. Mostly because the charge umbrella, although gives you a really good parry window, it's a bit more difficult to land it against his thrusting palm. Because on hard mode, it's slightly faster.
And so our projectile blood attack had felled our foe.
Yep. I really wish that Bloodless actually got stuff for killing bosses. Sadly, she does not. It's okay that she doesn't, mind you, but it's just one thing that I would actually like them to improve if we do just actually end up with another character, because we might end up with another character yet. Bloodstained's content is not fully released yet. We still have the Chaos mode to come out, which is supposed to be this year, but it's not going to be this year. It's more than likely going to be February next year.
Now that you mention it, that segment in the Aurora and what's her name runs are definitely making one miss the part where you get stabbed by the Joy Crystal after you take out a boss. Miriam, sorry. Yeah, I remembered what the name was. Just didn't remember it right away.
Alright then. And for defeating Bathin and going up here, we get the Scarlet Cyclone. This is honestly one of the coolest fucking spells that the Bloodless gets access to. It is effectively an omnidimensional force push. The problem is it actually does an absurdly low amount of damage per tick, and yeah, its big advantages are mainly that against humanoid targets, it has the ability to knock them out of a majority of what the fuck they're doing. Unfortunately, knocking them out of what the fuck they're doing unless doesn't matter all that much for Bloodless, because she still gets access to the backstep and the really good parry. So those are usually better defensive options.
Strikes me
I wish that Scarlet Cyclone actually did significantly more damage, because it is a really cool spell. It's stupidly expensive, but yeah, it's not something I'm going to use in combat all that often.
How about during exploration segments?
Not really. I mean, it will reveal breakable walls, but the walls already have to be there, and there's few enough of those to where spending all that mana on it is not really worth it.
It is nice that you are filling in the blanks of all the attacks that boss variant Bloodless was using against you, because I do definitely, among all the attacks I've seen so far, I most readily recognize the aimable Cyclone attack.
Yeah, I like Scarlet Cyclone as a spell. It is just not one that I'm actually going to end up using. Damn it, screwed up. Alright, go through here in order to get another stat blood, right? I think this one... Oh, it's another brutality. Brutality bloods are very nice for us. Do you remember the brutality system from Mortal Kombat 3?
The brutality system?
Yeah.
What is the brutality system?
Okay, so in Mortal Kombat 3 introduced brutalities, animalities, and friendships.
And babyalities.
And babality. Well, I think babality was technically in Mortal Kombat 2.
It was in 3. It was in 3. You can turn your opponent into a baby as a fatality.
Okay, but in order to actually do a brutality, you had to win the match, get to the finish them screen, the finish them event, and then from there, what you needed to do was input a very specific dial combo, and it was like a 10 button dial combo, and as cool as they were in Mortal Kombat 3, I was never able to pull them off on my own. Partially because I didn't know what they were, and partially because even by the time I did know what they were, they are just way too fucking. They are way too fucking long a string of commands. Also, I dislike this area of Liver Ex Machina with a majority of characters, specifically because it has like 4.5 times as much environmental obstacles as pretty much any other area in the game, with the exception of Inferno Cavern. It is not nice. It is not nice to characters. It's actually worse with Bloodless than it is with both Miriam and Zangestsu, specifically because Bloodless doesn't really get access to. No, rather, if Bloodless screws up her jump and she goes into a hover, it just slows down her descent. She's not able to actually ascend from there until much later on. So you're just sitting there waiting for the damage proc to reset your jump.
None shall pass. Oh, damn it! I guess I'll permit you.
This is the other gap that we need to win Demon's Blood for. And you can get to this part, as I will be showing off in just a moment, from the other side of Bloodless's room. We are closing the loop around Bloodless's room in just a moment.
All right, because we exited to the left, but we didn't see what was on the right-hand side. You know, the area that you go to after you take out boss variant Bloodless.
I thought for a moment of actually closing off the map, decided it would behoove us to do so.
What?
So there we go. We have successfully made it back to the Bloodless room. Yay!
What? Don't you want to take out that candle?
Why? I don't need the money.
But it's an item.
No, it's not.
Oh. Is it breakable? It's okay if you want to leave the set pieces alone. I just figure, like, I mean, not everybody takes out Leon's knife and starts slashing every torch along the way. It's a thing.
They should, though.
It's a thing you can do. And for some reason, they actually disabled pretty much all the torches. No, they disabled all the torches in the PS2 variant of Resident Evil 4. I remember that. Like, okay, you can take out the spinal, but the only thing you can hit is the spinal. The torch is no longer a destructible item. I mean, what the fuck? It's supposed to be superior. They had 3 years to work on.
It's because the PlayStation 2 was actually the weakest console of that generation.
Yeah.
It has the best library, like pretty factually, it has the best library. But when it comes to hardware, it is the weakest of the consoles of that generation.
Whoa!
It's okay. We're not gonna get crushed. Crushing death isn't a thing. At least as far as I'm aware.
The blood can take on many shapes.
Come on. There we go.
Yeah.
Mind you, Bloodless can't actually escape from up here because, yeah, we can't fit through this gap.
Oh, well, I mean, you can come out that way.
Yes, you can come out that way, but you can't go through that way, so.
So it's a teaser.
A little bit, honestly. The Liver Ex Machina is odd for a majority of the other characters, specifically because the other characters don't get the shape-changing options that Miriam gets access to. And what this ends up meaning is that like Liver Ex Machina really only has 2 viable pathways through it that everyone else gets access to. Whereas Miriam can go through Liver Ex Machina in upwards of 4 different ways. It's kind of nuts.
Well, they are keeping the player guessing by forcing characters to take alternate routes depending on their respective abilities. Like, for example, Aurora's ability to fly, which would make...
Doesn't actually help her all that fucking much because she's too big.
Well, it would help her in this area so she doesn't have to wait for the goddamn box elevators to move around.
Only a little bit, honestly. She'd save like 3 seconds total.
Gives you more control.
Here, Aurora's ability to fly would be very nice, actually, but, you know... Alright, so, I am showing off, I am, at the very least, attempting to show off the hidden floor that's right here, specifically because there's another blood here. Haha!
Like, why would they put this platform here? Very
now,
sneaky game.
mostly because Bloodless, Aurora, and Zang don't really have... Well, no, Zang can actually get up there just fine because he starts with his entire kit, the cheating bastard.
Really, Zangestsu doesn't get upgrades throughout the game? He's just full?
He does not, and it's because he's the Belmont mode, to be perfectly honest. And it's one of the big reasons why I think that Zangetsu's run is honestly less fulfilling than Bloodless's run. Because... although he starts off extremely powerful, at the end of the game he is actually less powerful than Miriam is, and he also doesn't get any upgrades aside from, you know, he doesn't get any actual upgrades aside from raw stats for you know, progressing through the stat castle. And even then, his raw stat upgrades are specifically from level ups and health and mana pots. So there really isn't a good reason to do exploration with Zangetsu. You just end up playing through the castle as a boss rush mode. It's why I'm hesitant to actually do that run, because like as fast as I can do it, it's still gonna be, you know, upwards of 2 hours, and I'm not entirely sure if I can carry us through 2 hours of 2 hours of Zangetsu, like one-shotting a majority of the bosses until the very end of the game, where all of a sudden he has to actually play.
Strikes me as a difference between it's one of the oldest dilemmas in Pokemon, actually, is when you get to the Elite Four stage of the game, you're also at the stage of the game where you can start capturing legendaries, and a lot of people will just add the legendary to their party because they're already high level, they have high base stats. However, you can empirically prove that Pokemon that you've developed from the very beginning are actually more powerful than the legendaries you would be picking up at that point because of EV development.
Yep. Alright, and in the next episode, we'll be going on to take down the Abyssal Guardian. Be safe, everybody.